What up, motherfucks? It's your boy the hater once again up in this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? I have a lot of videos in what I like to call the pipeline. That is, videos that I've already recorded, but that I haven't uploaded yet, right? Now, there's so many of them that I think I've kind of lost track, so I may have to do a nice little soft reset here. Because every once in a while, things just happen. And it's like, I have to talk about them, right? You know, irrespective of the pipeline. I can't put like the video today, for example, at the end of the line because it'll be irrelevant in a couple of weeks. Some may even argue it's irrelevant now. I mean, you know what I mean? But basically today we're going to talk about, that's right, motherfucks, the spring cleaning, right? The releases that WWE has made today, I guess, or this week. I'm not even sure when, you know? My friend started texting me today, so I can only assume it was today. And generally, the thing that people keep focusing on, honestly, appears to be the release of Samoa Joe. Smo Joe, motherfuckers. Smo Joe. Now, a lot of people here were released. You know, let's call it like it is. But basically, motherfucks, let's call it like it is. A lot of these people are either jobbers or there is nothing for them anymore. Like, it's time for them to either quit, like trying to be a wrestler, or it's time for them to call it a career. You know what I mean? Specifically, one person. Mickie James, motherfucks. Mickie James, obviously, out of everyone here, Mickie James is going to go down in history as the best out of everyone here, right? Like, nobody's going to give a fuck about Samoa Joe. Mickie James is like a real legend. She's right there on the same level as people like Molly Holly. As a matter of fact, the fact that Beth Phoenix became a champion probably fewer times than Mickie James. I'm not sure, though. Don't quote me on that. And she got into the Hall of Fame before Mickie James is preposterous. I mean, I understand, like, you know, she retired relatively recently, and Mickie James is still an active competitor. But nonetheless, motherfucks, I mean, we're talking about Mickie James here. Like, Beth Phoenix came in as, like, basically a Mickie James ripoff. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't anything better than Mickie James. She wasn't better in the ring. She wasn't better at anything, you know? She wasn't better looking or anything, like, specific to a WWE diva back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that Mickie James is not in the Hall of Fame, it's only a consequence of her not retiring. If she retires, she's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, you know? Now that we got Mickie James, the good one, out of the way, let's talk about some of these other releases. We have Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Billie Kay, her entire WWE career can be summarized as follows. She appears on NXT in what looks like a Maleficent gimmick, right? She's out there looking like Maleficent, having some like evilish music, which eventually became the music of the Iconics. And then Peyton Royce joins her, right? And it's like, it's weird because they were almost like a comedy like duo, right? But they're obviously also going for like we're attractive thing. But let's be real, like this shit's been done before better than the way that the Iconics did it, right? Like they brought nothing to the table, you know what I mean? Like you could take any two girls and be like, you're the Iconics now, you know? Like Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose could become the new Iconics and like no one would bat an eyelash, you know what I mean? Like it would make no difference whatsoever, right? This gimmick was done first, in my opinion, by the Beautiful People, and then like Team LayCool on SmackDown and on Raw. Team LayCool was cool. They had a good theme music. The "You're Not Enough for Me," that was pretty cool, right? But then they just copied it again and again with like the next 19 iterations of the Beautiful People, and then several other similar situations, right? And it just never worked the same way as it did with the Beautiful People. Because the Beautiful People, once again, motherfuckers, they were cool. They were cool broads. Like, I never thought that Angelina Love was like this attractive girl or anything like that. I mean, she has a nice physique, obviously. But I always thought she looked kind of weird. Velvet Sky, obviously attractive. Madison Rayne, she's like basic in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. The point is they're cool. Like, you can tell Angelina Love was popular in high school by the way she acts. You can tell Ember Moon was not by the way she acts, motherfucks. It's clear as day, you know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with Billie and Peyton. Like, they're obviously, like, attractive girls, or at least Peyton Royce. Billie Kay is like, whatever, you know? But let's be real. These girls were never meant to revolutionize anything, you know? They had their moment at WrestleMania and nothing came of it. So it's like, what the fuck's the point of keeping them around? And furthermore, have you seen what's been happening? Like, Peyton Royce wasn't at WrestleMania, and Billie Kay was partnered with, like, who the Carmella or some shit? I don't even remember. She was partnered with some random broad. You know what I mean? Like, all these girls do is partner with each other. You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's really no point in having them both there. I mean, this isn't a big loss. Peyton Royce is going to obviously appear with the Pinnacle in AEW, and she's going to be paired up with her real-life husband, Shawn Spears, and she's going to adopt the same attitude and gimmick that this guy has, that I was underused and I am, underrated. When the reality is you just weren't good enough. You brought nothing to the table. Peyton Royce, I think she's won like 3 singles matches and like 4 tag matches her entire like 5-year career. Like this is like the ultimate jobber. I mean, like some of the matches that she won were presented as important, but let's call it like it is. There wasn't anything special about either her, and especially not Billie Kay. I mean, Billie Kay is a complete waste. Like, she's not even attractive, at least, you know? Like, she's got this weird, like, Botox face, you know? And now she's like, I don't even know what her gimmick is now. I mean, I guess her gimmick now is she's fired, motherfuckers. Beat it, kid. Then we have Chelsea Green, who I don't think it's ever appeared on TV. This is not even worth mentioning. You know what I'm saying? It's like, remember that season of NXT when it was like Jacob Novak or something? Like, he was like there, and he was the first guy in season 2 of NXT to be eliminated. And they're like, oh, sorry, Jacob Novak, you didn't make it. And he was like, I can't believe it. And it's like, dude, just beat it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your role. Or the last time WWE did these like big time cuts, like last year, remember that, motherfucks? That was pretty big because they got rid of a lot of people. And there's this one guy, I don't even know his name. He was some long-haired guy, he's like 19, and he went on Twitter and he was like, you know, I gave it my all and it wasn't good enough. Some self-pitying type shit. And I'm just like, dude, you're a nobody. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know your name. Like, you've never even been on TV, motherfucker. So what the hell is that all about, right? So there you have it. That makes no sense, and nobody really cares about Chelsea Green. Like, if you put Chelsea Green in front of me and put like 9 other broads, and you said, which one of these is Chelsea Green? I have about a 10% chance of guessing, motherfucks. You know, that's about it. Next up, we have Kalisto. Kalisto deserved better. You know what I'm saying? Kalisto deserved better. Now, I'm not saying Kalisto is the next Rey Mysterio. I mean, isn't it a little ironic that Kalisto was hired? He was one of the guys that was hired to be the next Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio outlasts him? You know what I'm saying? That should speak to everyone on how good Rey Mysterio is. You know, they were like, oh, Rey Mysterio's getting old. Let's hire Sin Cara. He'll be the new Rey Mysterio. Sin Cara comes and goes, motherfuckers. Rey Mysterio's still there. You know? Same shit with Kalisto. I mean, you can't have, like, Kalisto's like a decorated guy. Like, he was like a multiple-time U.S. champion. I think he was Cruiserweight champion. I think he was Tag Team champion, or at least NXT Tag Team champion. This guy had like a good career, relatively speaking. But it's like, dude, we don't need you. You know what I'm saying? There's too many of you right now. There's too many people with this luchador thing going on, right? Masked or unmasked. It's like, dude, move over. We have Raul Mendoza to deal with now. You know? At least this character is developed beyond the fact that he just says the word lucha several times, moving his arms up and down for no reason. So there you have it, motherfuckers. Kalisto, he had to go. Then we get into the really obscure. Now we have Bo Dallas. I mean, Bo Dallas hasn't been on TV for like 5 years. You know, this guy's like the Primo and Epico of this class of fired superstars, you know? Primo and Epico were like paid by WWE for like 8 years and didn't appear on TV for like most of that. Like, I think Primo was with WWE for like 15 years. You know, he was in like every video game somehow, and basically, like, he just never appeared on TV. He never did his job. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are like, I can't believe they let go the Good Brothers and Primo and Epico last time. Like, they're not doing their jobs. Like, you're just paying someone to stay home. Like, Primo and Epico started wrestling at like whatever, Puerto Rico Wrestling Association or whatever, you know? Because they had nothing to do. They're like, oh, just sit down here. They're like, oh, we're just going to go wrestle there. You know, maybe we'll create some buzz. So that's kind of what happened, you know what I mean? There wasn't anything special going on with Primo or Epico, you know? And Primo or Epico are like the perfect example of someone getting a million chances to get over, you know? Same thing with Bo Dallas, really. A lot of people are like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this to Bo Dallas. Dude, Bo Dallas had opportunities to get over, and he never really did. You know? The whole Believe gimmick didn't get over as it should have. A lot of it is not his fault, but he didn't get over. There's people that did get over. Like Curtis Axel, for example, got over, right? Curtis Axel got himself over like 3 times. You know? Remember Axelmania? Remember Rybaxel? Like, these things were over. You know? Curtis Axel was cool. Like, as a result of that. Now, I mean, Curtis Axel is a jobber, no doubt about it. But, like, compared to Bo Dallas, he got himself over. You know what I mean? He had a shitty gimmick, but he got himself over. So there you have it, motherfucks. Bo Dallas, I mean, he's a young guy. I think he's still in his 20s, you know? He can make something out of himself. He can go to, let's say, AEW or TNA and you know, wrestle and be like legit and maybe show his creativity a little bit. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that someone like Bo Dallas could easily be signed back by WWE, especially considering the fact that he's the brother of Bray Wyatt, number one, and two, he's young. You know, he has legacy and he's young, so he can definitely get it done. And in the short time he was there, while he was young, he was very decorated. You know, he was like beating Seth Rollins, like almost beating Big E. He was the longest NXT champion for a while. You know, he was legit, but it just didn't come together, motherfucks. So I don't think anybody should be shocked or upset that Bo Dallas is getting released. It's the same thing as Epico or Primo getting released. You know, just collecting a paycheck in there. Primo and Epico had like 19 repackages. You know, they couldn't get over as Los Matadores. They couldn't get over with their condo selling or whatever timeshare selling like gimmick, the Shining Stars. They couldn't get over as Primo and Epico, just the two cousins, right? They couldn't get over as Primo and Epico like the representatives of Puerto Rico with Rosa Mendez in her prime. They couldn't get over at all. So it's like, bro, now it's time to beat it. We've literally paid you for nothing for 15 years, you know? So there you have it, motherfucks. There you have it. Now, we're getting to the nitty gritty, okay? Next up, we have Wesley Blake, motherfucks. Wesley Blake. The mere fact, I mean the sheer fact, I should say, that Wesley Blake was not released on the same day as Steven Cutler or Steve Cutler or whatever the fuck, Jay Cutler, I don't even know his name, the Cutler guy, right? The fact that he wasn't released the same day as the Cutler guy is astounding to me for two reasons. Number one, you're going to get rid of him anyways. You know, we all know it, right? So you might as well get rid of him when you have the Cutler guy, right? And maybe the two of them can go and, like, be a tag team in the indies. You know what I mean? They can work together in the indies, rebrand themselves. Maybe they had some ideas about their gimmick that they couldn't, like, you know, manifest because they never got TV time. You know? But the facts are what the facts are. As a matter of fact, motherfucks, I'm actually happy that Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler, or whatever, the Cutler guy, got released. Because these motherfucks, right, you know, they're playing the same gimmick as Jackson Riker, and he says something, he tries to put them over with his catchphrase, right? And he gets called out by a lesser man like Kevin Owens and Mustafa Ali, and these two guys real quick distance themselves. They show the kind of men they are. They show their character, you know what I'm saying? Now, it's also possible they don't agree with him at all, you know? But I believe they were just bullied into it. As a matter of fact, if you get bullied into something, you deserve what the fuck happens to you. You know what I'm saying? Stand up for yourself, motherfucker, or get released. Beat it, Wesley Blake. Speaking of beat it, right? The same way that Primo and Epico have been getting paid for nearly a decade, so is Wesley Blake. You know, he started off as Blake and Murphy. Like, I thought he was like the Shawn Michaels of that. But look at what Buddy Murphy did, motherfucks. He went, he got jacked, he got lean, you know, he got strong, he trained, he did all the things he was meant to do, and he came back, and now he's like, I mean, he's going to be released in a few years, I'm sure, but for now, he has a job at least, right? He has a job because he went out, started working out, while Wesley Blake just got fatter and fatter, and kept talking about how he's forgotten. And Steve Cutler, or the Cutler guy, whatever the fuck his first name is, this guy was there for 15 years, and never raised an eyebrow. Like, not one person was like, man, we've had this guy here for 14 years, for 13 years, for 11 years. Let's put him on TV, see what happens. No one ever had faith in him for like a decade and a half. He's like a Ty Dillinger, you know? Nobody ever had faith in this guy. It's like, dude, you're not good. Like, you're here, you're literally that. You're a good hand. You know, if we need someone to get hit by a move, we'll put you in there, kid. But beyond that, we ain't got nothing for you, you know? And now we come to the person that probably is stirring up the most controversy, as I said, motherfuckers, Samoa Joe. Now, here's the thing about Samoa Joe, right? Samoa Joe, I mean, hate him or love him, he is someone that could have made an impact, right? He's someone that could have had a push if treated with the respect that he deserves. I hate to say it, but the indie wrestlers should not be grouped in the same group as the TNA wrestlers, because TNA for a while was above the indies. People like Samoa Joe were consistently wrestling people like Christian Cage, Kurt Angle, you know what I'm saying? Now AJ Styles was in the company, right? Scott Steiner, Booker T, Kevin Nash, Desmond Wolfe eventually, right? They're wrestling Magnus, people that came up in TNA that are not indie jobbers. You know, a lot of these guys are not jabrones. You know, they're like actual wrestlers, they're good wrestlers. Some of them are legendary wrestlers, like Jeff Jarrett or Kurt Angle. or fucking Booker T, let's say, motherfucks, or Christian Cage, or Rhino. You know, these are Hall of Famers. Like, Rhino's gonna go into the Hall of Fame, motherfucks. So it's the same thing, you know. Samoa Joe beating Rhino and beating Lashley and wrestling against Shannon Moore is not the same thing as Kevin Owens beating El Generico and then wrestling like fucking Hollow Wicked or Excalibur at the next pay-per-view. It's not the same thing, motherfucks. So that's the problem. People like Samoa Joe and Eric Young didn't come in with the respect they deserve. Eric Young should have come into TNA, and the first thing that should have come out of the mouths of the announcers should be this. Eric Young is one of the most decorated wrestlers outside of WWE. Eric Young, the world-class maniac, holds prominent victories against the likes of Kurt Angle, whom he beat for the world title. You know, that's how you put someone over. You say, Kurt Angle isn't a slouch. We all know Kurt Angle, right? This guy beat him clean, motherfucks. You know what I mean? That's what we want to see. That's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear like, oh, Eric Young, one of the hottest free agents from Canada. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? And then you team him up with like Alexander Wolf and Sawyer Fulton and Killian Dane, and you expect him to carry that group? This is a guy who's a world champion. Samoa Joe had like one of the best feuds in TNA history, and one of the best feuds ever, honestly, against Kurt Angle. That was one of the best storylines ever, because Samoa Joe was undefeated for like 2 years, and Kurt Angle is here now, motherfucker. It's a bit different. You know, you're not wrestling AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels anymore. You're not wrestling Jeff Jarrett. You're not wrestling Shannon Moore. You're not wrestling Chris Sabian. You're wrestling the fucking wrestling machine, motherfucks. So it was a great storyline. And they should feature that prominently. Instead of going out there and having Samoa Joe like go 50-50 booking with Nakamura and Finn Balor. Someone like Samoa Joe should have no problem destroying Nakamura and Finn Balor. You know, Samoa Joe should have run roughshod over NXT. And I mean like destroying them. Like the way that Samoa Joe should have been booked in NXT should have been the exact same way he was booked in the X Division when he first started in TNA, right? Where he was out there just butchering people and then like soaking up their blood in his towel and walking around with his towel like a trophy, you know? Collecting the blood of his opponents. That's how they should have booked him, just as a badass who's not here to wrestle. He's here to hurt people, man. You know, and he acts in a way that makes sense. Not like how Karrion Kross wants to hurt people. You know, Karrion Kross wants to hurt people, but he'll just throw in the occasional compliment and the occasional joke, and nobody wants to see that shit, right? That's what I'm getting at, you know? A lot of people can't really get on board with that. They really can't get on board with these wrestlers being treated like the same way Kevin Owens is treated. You know, Samoa Joe is not Kevin Owens. Samoa Joe, motherfucks. He's one of the guys that made it out of ROH and eventually progressed through to the big time. You know, he's not like some jobber who like never had a chance and then Triple H was like, I like him, I'll sign him. He's not like that. So he shouldn't have been treated that way. And that's the problem. The problem is they treated him incorrectly. And once that happened, there came a point of no return, right? You cannot go back and then pretend that this guy's a main eventer. They tried doing that several times, where like he pretty much failed. Like he transitioned to Raw and he had the NXT run. He beat Dolph Ziggler a few times or some shit like that. And then eventually people forgot about him and he became a jobber. He started feuding with like Rey Mysterio and things like that, right? Can you believe this guy's the same age as Rey Mysterio? And then look at what Rey Mysterio has accomplished versus what this guy has accomplished. Think about that, motherfucks. You know, Rey Mysterio, multiple-time champion, like been in like the biggest companies ever for decades at a time, and this guy hasn't achieved anything because he's presented as a jobber. You know, when Rey Mysterio came over from WCW, when Kevin Nash came over from WCW, when Hulk Hogan came over, when everybody came over from WCW, the majority of the people that were stars were treated like stars. Yes, obviously, Mark Jindrak and Billy Kidman were treated as jobbers because they are jobbers, right? But Booker T was not treated like a jobber, no matter what anyone says. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people keep saying that shit. They're like, oh, WCW, like, I made him a champion, but in WWE he was a jobber. What the fuck are you talking about? He's out there main eventing SummerSlam, wrestling Jericho, wrestling The Rock, wrestling like some of the biggest stars of all time, becoming one of the biggest stars of all time in doing so. You know what I mean? So that's the thing, motherfucks. You can't treat Chris Kanyon the same way you would treat Booker T. You can't treat Hurricane Helms or whatever Gregory Helms, Shane Helms at the time, the same way as you would treat, I don't know, fucking even like Buff Bagwell, right? You had to treat them correctly. And that's what I'm saying. The same thing should have been done with Samoa Joe. Now, they tried putting Samoa Joe in a match with Brock Lesnar, but that's just a bad move. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's one guy Samoa Joe should never wrestle, it's Brock Lesnar. Because the fact that Samoa Joe is a fat ass, right, can justify the possibility of him, like, maybe beating up like a Booker T. I mean, obviously in real life, Booker T would beat his ass. But he'd have a shot. You know what I'm saying? He would have no shot against Brock Lesnar. Because Brock is bigger than him. And not fat. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brock outweighs him probably. And is not fat. So what chance does he have? He's clearly inferior. You know what I'm saying? He's clearly a lesser man. You can look at him and be like, all right, this guy, I mean, he might be a tough, strong guy. But Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. I mean, there's zero chance. You know? So, but they put him in that feud. And they presented him as if he was like a viable challenger. He's like, I'm not afraid of Brock Lesnar. You should be. In real life, if this was a real fight, you'd be terrified of him, motherfucker. So they really did pull the rug up from under Samoa Joe. But that being said, motherfuckers, a lot of shit also went down that it's not really his fault. So for example, number one, motherfuckers, all right, he got injured like 19 times in a row. You know, all right, dude, you're fat and you're getting old and you keep getting injured. So what more do you want? You know what I mean? It wouldn't be unfair to say that Samoa Joe did not get a legitimate push. He did get an opportunity. He had opportunities to be in the main event. He had opportunities to impress. But he has 3 moves, and he couldn't impress. You know? Samoa Joe was paired up with the wrong wrestlers. If you had paired up Samoa Joe, like right now, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles, that'd be amazing. You know? Or at least 5 years ago. Samoa Joe versus, I don't know, Kurt Angle would be amazing again. Samoa Joe versus Cena would be amazing. You know, you have to pair him up with the right type of people. Samoa Joe versus Randy Orton would have been fun. You know, Samoa Joe versus like Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe versus Bray Wyatt, these aren't compelling feuds. Nobody wants to see that shit. Nobody wants to see 2 fat asses fighting. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I gotta say about that. I mean, Samoa Joe, it sucks for him because he's one of the good ones in this list. The facts are what the facts are. Nobody should be surprised. Samoa Joe hasn't done anything relevant in like 2 years. Literally, he's been sitting there doing shitty commentary for 2 years. And basically what happened was he was replaced by like Adnan, whatever the fuck his last name is, the Adnan guy, the new one. He's been replaced, kid. Sorry, thug. You're out of here, motherfucker. So that's what I gotta say about that. You know, these releases, I don't want people to lose their jobs. That's obviously not good. But a lot of these people will have definitely opportunities elsewhere, no doubt about it. You know, and also I'll say this. I don't know how much money Samoa Joe was making, but if he wasn't making a lot of money, it would have been nice, for example, to put Samoa Joe on NXT UK, right? And have him wrestle Walter. That would be awesome. That's almost a dream match. Samoa Joe Walter is almost a dream match. You know, Samoa Joe being in NXT UK boosts up the relevance of NXT UK. So they could have done other things with him. They chose not to. That's not my decision. That's theirs. But the facts are what the facts are. No one on this list, just like no one on last year's list, was this big-time name. Everyone on this list is an undercard jobber, or they're Mickie James, or they're Samoa Joe, who really is an undercard jobber. Like, he's like on the same level as like Jeff Hardy now, you know? Like, if Jeff Hardy gets released, it wouldn't be shocking at all. They'd be like, okay, Jeff Hardy got released. Like, you know, he hasn't really been relevant for like 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, they just keep him around, make him the IC champion once in a while, but that's it. You know? So there you got it, motherfuckers. That's what I gotta say about that. So, peace out, cooks.